how are you? It's Jonathan here live talking about his services about Muslim weddings. I provide a very exclusive and a unique service to all clients. So every client I work with for a Muslim wedding, I offer them a very, very exclusive and a unique service which is for them. Everyone has a particular style and I will work with them to make it happen and to enhance it. Now, Muslim weddings generally consist of either a Nikah, a Walima and a Barat, and also the Mendi. Now, in the Bengali culture, the men and the women have their Mendi separately. The Pakistanis generally have their Mendi together, although there are some variations. Now, for Islamic weddings, just to go over with you, there's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference. Basically, you have your in the Pakistani, in the Bengali, and the Afghan, and also in the Indian as well, or Muslim weddings. Now, with a Muslim wedding, again, it's working with that client from day one, putting everything down on paper, talking about their story. Now, what does she want out of the day? How does she want the day to run? Basically, are you looking for any other suppliers? That type of thing. You know, let's talk about the families. Where's you know, where are you both coming from? What's your story? Exactly. There's so many things to talk about just to get to know the bride and groom. So when it comes to the scheduling stage, what we do is I put together the whole schedule for them. We'll talk about everything in detail. I'll fine tune everything with a fine tooth comb. You know, I always ask the couples to give me a whole list of suppliers. I always do that, plus one contact again from each side of the family. This is important because on a day I don't want to be bombarded by hundreds of people. I want to do my work and do my work well. And if you're bombarded by hundreds of people, it doesn't happen. So just with that one person from each side, things do go very, very well, and things do run to time. I find on the whole they do. Now, on average, if we look at sort of the running of a Muslim wedding, as I say, there'll be the scheduling, the fine tuning, and then it'll be on the day, bring direction, coordination, directing, everything to make sure it all goes to time, make sure everyone knows what they're doing, making sure we don't run out of time, just working with everyone. So, for example, let's take a Bengali wedding, for example, to start with. So basically what will happen is the bride will arrive first. She'll arrive in her car with members of her family. She'll go to the bridegroom at the venue. Then once she's arrived with her family, normally the groom will arrive about an hour later on average, but sometimes she'll have seen the groom beforehand because they might have had a photo shoot earlier in the day. It does happen. But on average Bengali wedding, which I do, it's the bride will be in her room. Then I'll get what I'll do is I'll get the family, the youngsters, to set up what they call a haggling gate. Now this is a ribbon which you put on the front door. Could be on the front door of the venue or the front door of the suite upon entry into the suite. So either or. And then what happens is the Barat, the groom, will arrive. He'll arrive normally with about 10 cars. He has Ferraris and they have Lambos, Rolls Royces, everything. It's great. It's a really nice entrance, to be honest with you, and everyone's in a really, really good mood. And then what will happen there on the Bengali day is after that's happened, I'll get all the family together, get everyone parked up, all the family together, nice big photo. Then I'll lead everyone to the front where the haggling gate is. So all the girls are ready. They come up with a no money, no honey, and all the signs are there and everything. Really, really good. So all the haggling begins. And then it's basically after the agreeing on the sum of money from the groom's side, he'll pay and he'll cut the ribbon. Job done. So what will happen is the groom will go to the stage. Once everyone's sat down, I will do a welcome speech to welcome everybody. You know, but it could be on the there could be the way they want it in relation to seating. It could be segregated, could be non-segregated. I try to say to them, a Bengali wedding, a table plan generally doesn't work, and they tend to agree because they have like minimum 600-700 people. It's lots and lots of people. So what basically happens there is the groom will come to the stage. Now, they'll have a few photos of groom with his family. Always happens. Now, depending upon if it's a nikah or a celebration, or a Walima. I always say to them, really, if you can do the girls' Nikah at home, it cuts down a lot of time. Because that way, the boy comes to the stage, I can do my welcome, make a few announcements, then bring the imam up to do the Nikah, the khutbah, and then the dua. If it doesn't work that way, then it might just be the fact that I'm doing a welcome speech. Bring somebody up to do the dua. Then what will happen is then sometimes after that the bride will invite the bride in. She'll come through. But sometimes for the bride she'll sit round in another stage around the corner or in another room, and then she'll come in after dinner. Because what will happen is the first thing that will happen once the groom's sat down, the tal will come out. It's a big piece of lamb it is normally, and all the cousins will come round on the bride's side and start feeding him, and it's nice. I think the grooms really enjoy it actually. I think it's lovely when I see it, when I do want to tuck in, but no, I'm a gentleman. So that's what happens there, and then following that, straight after the tali's been done, then I always say before they sit down and eat properly, get them straight out for a photo shoot. Just get the photo shoot done. That's important, and then what can happen after that is generally the bride will come in if she's not in already, and I think at that point, once they've all eaten, everything's been done, and the amount of people that are still there will probably halve in that point. To be honest with you, they would have eaten, they would have gone, and that's when we do what we do the garland, ring, milk, and mishti ceremonies. So that's when the bride and groom give garlands. I do this in a really nice way, a very elegant way to make it really great, and I get my DJs to basically tune in with me the way I'm doing it. So it'll be the garlands, ring, milk and mishti ceremonies, which are really, really good. They're nice, and it's very, very, very traditional. Sometimes a mirror as well, where the bride and groom have to just check that they recognise each other through the mirror. It happens. I've done a few of that. And then I ask them to cut the cake. So we do a very nice cake cutting ceremony, bring the parents round, get them to feed each other. I love it, to be honest with you. And then prior to that, the palm goes round. That's after dinner, so everyone's enjoying palm. And then, after the cake cutting's been done, get everybody onto. I get the bride and groom onto the stage. Now, I always say to the bride and grooms at this point, when it comes to photos, give me no more than about 20 photos each side if you can. 20, 25 max. Now, the important thing is here that I have somebody from each side of the family working with me, because what can happen is people try to push in, they try to run up on the stage, and I would have made an announcement, please don't come up for photos until you are called. And if you've got any queries on the photos, then speak to so and so on each side, one person from each side, and that way there's more clarity. And it stands up better for me as well, and it works beautifully, to be totally honest with you. It works really, really, really well. I normally say to about an hour and 10 minutes for photos. They're not, parents, they normally give us salamis, the salam, basically. That's all done, and so we get everybody around for photos, starting obviously parents, grandparents, siblings, that type of thing. Then we go on to cousins, friends. They could have youth, college friends, university friends, home friends, all different things, really. And it's all good. It all works really well. The important thing is with a Muslim wedding is working closely again with everybody. Teamwork is so vital, and it's just absolutely imperative that you don't lose touch with anybody. Make sure you speak to the caterers, make sure the food comes out at the right times, make sure they're ready, get everybody seated so the caterers will have plenty of room to manoeuvre around the aisles. Very, very, very important. To be honest with you, the whole thing needs to run, because what happens is as well, after food's finished, even after the first course, some people don't even eat the dinner. A lot of people do, but some don't. There's always chocolate fountains, there's candy floss, there's loads of different things. And so at the end of the Bengali wedding, you have what they call the bidai, when the girl leaves, and it's normally straight to the car, and it's very, very sad. And that concludes, obviously, generally the Bengali function. Then you have the Pakistani wedding. Pakistani weddings, again, very different. Again, it's with the Pakistani weddings, it's more when they have the three functions. Again, they have the Nikah, Barat, Walima, they have the Mendi. And on the Pakistani wedding day, what happens is slightly different to Bengali, although some of the things are the same. Is the bride and groom will generally have a photo shoot beforehand, before the start, which always happens. So the bride and groom will generally have a just before it starts, and then following that, basically following that, the bride and groom starting, it will basically be after that they'll go back, they'll freshen up the bride and groom, they'll just have, he'll go off in his direction, she'll go off in hers, but it depends. Sometimes they both stay together. It just depends, really. But on an average Pakistani wedding day, let's have a look at a nikah. Now, the nikah is the wedding, an average nikah day. So what will happen is the bride will be at the venue. She'll arrive early first. She'll be in her bridal room, or she'll be at home at that point, So, but she will arrive. But so what will happen is the groom will arrive at the venue. Sometimes he'll arrive first. Sometimes she'll be there first. But it's always best if the bride is there first, so we know we have her. It's always good. I would say on a nikah, if the nikah's been done at the venue, you're going to need the witnesses from both sides. So, have the bride at the venue if you can. If you decide to do the bride's nikah at the venue, so what will happen is the guests will arrive. Both sides guests will arrive. All the girls' sides will arrive. Some of the boys' sides will arrive. More distant relatives, maybe friends, etc. So we get them all seated. Generally at Pakistani weddings, they have a table plan as well. So which always goes down which is quite nice, but it does work for some reason. But I always say, it's huge numbers again, 400-500. As long as you have the reserve signs at the front, which is an important thing, and you maybe have the names on the cards at the front, on a card on the table, a big card on each of the front tables, then it does work. Then people can go and sit wherever they need to sit. Or we have one person from each side, and they'll direct them to the front to their seats. But it does work. There's lots of different ways around it. Then everyone else can sit behind. But again, if you want a table plan, I suggest maybe 2 or 3 table plans, so you avoid bottlenecks, in the drinks reception area. So what will happen is guests will arrive. They'll have drinks. They'll have canapes on arrival. Very rarely I find a Pakistani wedding to have an open door where they'll come in, grab a drink and go and be seated. But it has happened. In all honesty, it's happened quite a few times. Come in, grab a drink, grab a canapé, go and be seated. But what we like to do is keep everybody away from the in drinks reception area to enjoy the drinks and canapés, and then we make sure everyone just congregates, and then I'll make sure obviously it's all okay inside. But I'll try not to let guests inside really until I know that the groom's sort of 10 minutes away. And then, those that don't need to be in the drink reception area can come and be seated. And then what will happen is the groom and his family will arrive. There's normally a few cars. Sometimes the groom will come in on a horse. It happens. There might be a band badger. There might be dole drummers again. And then the groom and his family, I'll have the bride side ready to receive. The little ones will have the petals in their hands and everything all ready. And once I've got the groom side lined up, there'll be quite a few photos outside. They'll start moving forward on my instruction, and then once they move forward, the bride side will garland the groom side as a welcome. Basically, they'll garland them, and they might garland the uncles and a few of the others on the groom side, which is nice. It just welcomes them, because the groom's side are the guests. Basically, it's a barat. They're the guests. So he will come through the door. We'll make sure everyone's sat down nicely. And then what will happen is, as I say, I would have had 2 rows for the groom to walk through and his family. They'll do the guide and then they'll walk through. I'll hold them at the door, make sure everyone's seated down, invite the groom to the stage. Once the groom's at the stage, which is nice, have a few photos, always good. A few photos with groom's family, a few friends maybe, that type of thing. And then if it's a nikah day, we'll bring the imam up. If both nikahs are going to happen at the venue, we'll take the imam to the bride's side first, to the bride's room, so she'll sign the consent, and then have the witnesses, take them back to the stage, take them all back to the stage, and then the imam will do the groom's nikah, and the witnesses will be sat on the stage, all the men will be sat on the stage, and then, you know, following the nikah, it'll be obviously the dua, the prayer. But if the nikah's been done, we might be able to just have to get everyone seated. Then the bride and groom might come in together. That's for the walima. So it does happen. It's all sorts of combinations depending on how they want it. I like it when the bride and groom come in together. I think it's nice. It's their day. But however, there are traditions to be followed, and it's up to the bride and groom the way they want it. You know, it's their big day. It's all about making their experience one to remember, a moment which resonates with their wishes. It's so important. It really is. So going back, the imam's done the nikah, dates come out, all the men go up on the stage to congratulate the boy. At that point, if it's some, and then what will generally happen after that is the bride will come in, you know, on a nikah day. Then they'll have a few photos together, maybe do an exchange of garlands, maybe. And what I like to do at that point is, if they haven't had a photo shoot, announce food's being served, let the bride and groom go out, have some photos, bring them back after 45 minutes, let them eat, let them enjoy. And you know, at that point, after everyone's eaten, they'll be enjoying the popcorn, the candy floss, the chocolate fountains. There might be some dancers as well. I tend to find that Pakistani functions have family dances, that type of thing, which is always good. Sometimes they have a singer. Sometimes I might even have a bit of dancing. There might be a dole drummer performance. It depends on the family, on really what they want. That's what it comes down to. So every family is very different, and I'll go by their wishes. It's just so important. You know, so as it goes on, again, half the people will probably leave. The bride and groom will come back from a photo shoot. They would have eaten. After they've eaten, we'll take them to cut the cake if there's no performances. After cutting the cake, we'll get the parents around, and maybe the brother and sisters for a bit of feeding. That happens. And I've got some really lovely special touches as well. I can do when the bride and groom are eating. I can do candle and card ceremony. There's all different things, which are some of my unique touches to really bring it out for them, which we'll be discussed in advance with them. I'll also obviously make sure the prayer rooms are all there. You know, you might have the Maghrib prayer, the Esha prayer, which are very important. So we need to make sure we've got the men's prayer areas, the ladies' prayer areas all ready. It's the same with the Bengali functions, exactly the same. And we need to be very observant and the music all off. So going back to after the cake's been cut, the cake would have been cut, you know, it'll be taken away. After that, then what might happen is one of two things. The bride and groom might want a first dance at the Pakistani wedding, so that can be done. We'll organise that, get a few people on the floor after, dance for a little while, then take everyone off, do the stage photos. Again, 10 to 15 photos maximum on each side is always good. If you want to extend it, it's up to you, but I would say 15 to 20. You want to make sure we get everyone in, and plenty of party time as well, which is very important. Really make sure it's done. Make sure I'll do it in a nice way. We call people up when they need to be called up. I'll have somebody from each side near me if I need them, just to if there is any problems. If people try to make their way up before they've been asked to come up, basically, because the bride will have given me a list, and that needs to be adhered to. That's what they want in their portfolio. They want these photos done in a specific way. That's important. Then after everything's been done on the stage, you know, you'll have your stage photos. There might be some gifts that need want to be some gift giving, which is always important. You know, the groom's side might want to give the bride's side, and vice versa, that type of thing. So, you know, there's always gifts. That happens a lot. And then then there's what they call the rasams as well. You know, basically the milk rasam, drinking from the you know, and the shoes where they take the groom's shoes and they want it back for a ransom. Oh, there's so many different things, so many different permutations and combinations. I've even seen it, you know, when the groom arrives. I've seen it doing the Bengali way. We bring him to the stage, start bringing him down to the stage. Then all the girls get onto the stage, and they're holding a ribbon just before he gets to the stage, and they won't let him come through until he pays them. So, you know, everyone's different. But at the end of the Pakistani function, if it's a nikah, there'll generally be what they call a rukhsati. The rukhsati is a very it's a sombre time. Again, when the bride side are giving away the bride, you know, to the groom. And there's lots and lots of photos, lots of crying and everything. With a walima, the party just goes on and it ends. But I've done walimas where I've done last dance circles, last dances, last speeches. So there's lots and lots of ways I can, you know, I can bring a little touch to it to really enhance it, and that I can discuss with the bride and groom at all times. I travel around the country, so I'm always I can go anywhere. But the important thing is I bring to give a lot of value to for my services, take the stress off them, bring direction, and make sure there's only one that they're going to remember. That is so important. You know, when, as I say, when the bride and groom says thank you at the end, and if they send you a review, oh my God, there's nothing better. It's the best feeling in the world. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you again.